Michelle, first to you. I know that there's been a lot of evacuation centres set up around Cairns. What have you noticed people doing? Where are they heading?
Good morning, Mel. Well, basically, they're getting out of town, and that's what authorities are recommending. Yes, there are a number of evacuation centres in Cairns, but they say if you've got friends and families that live outside of the path of the cyclone, you should head there as soon as possible. Don't leave it till later this afternoon because the winds are expected to pick up. By 2 o'clock this afternoon, the Weather Bureau says we could see winds of 90 to 150 kilometres an hour, and of course that's going to peak later on tonight at about 10 o'clock when they should be hitting us at about 270 kilometres an hour. We're actually in the main street of Cairns here. A number of shops have taped up their windows, sandbagged the entrances, but who knows what good that's going to do when this Category 5 hits. We're told that this entire street could be flooded. A huge amount of water is expected here. We're not far from the foreshore, and this cyclone is hitting on a high tide tonight at 10 o'clock. So we're told that this could pretty much be all underwater, you know, up even over some of the rooftops here, Mel.
Yeah, I'm here on the Esplanade, which anyone that's been up here knows this is kind of the tourist strip right on the edge of the water, and same. All I can see is sandbagging and windows taped. Even the hour that we've been here, the wind has started to pick up quite considerably in that short amount of time. Let's check in now with Premier Anna Bligh. Premier, good morning to you. Can you bring us up to date, all the preparations, all the and the expectations, evacuations, everything that we need to know about Cyclone Yasi hitting?
Yes, I can hear you. How's that?
Oh, hi. It's Mel, if you can hear me.
Hi, Mel. We just had a bit of a microphone issue. I think you can hear me now. Yes, we are facing a storm of we are facing a storm of catastrophic proportions in a highly populated area. You've heard all of the statistics, and what it all adds up to is a very, very frightening time for people and their families. The best advice that we can give people now is, firstly, if you live in an area where there is any prospect of a storm surge and you've been contacted by your council, you still have a small window of opportunity to move yourself and your family into safer areas, and you should do that as quickly as possible this morning. If you are not in one of those inundation areas, you need to start bunkering down in your house and preparing for heavy cyclonic winds to start sometime in the next couple of hours, and for that event to get worse and worse overnight and potentially right through until about lunchtime tomorrow. So this is not something that passes over the coast and is over in an hour. This is 24 hours of quite terrifying winds, anywhere up to 300 kilometres an hour, torrential rain, likely loss of electricity and mobile communications. So people really need to be preparing themselves mentally as much as anything else now.
We're also hearing words throughout the morning from people like the Weather Bureau of tsunami-like conditions. We know that there's a high tide tonight where I am here in Cairns at about 9 p.m. The water is expected to have, you know, there's going to be storm surges. There are so many other elements to this other than wind and rain, aren't there?
That's right. We've seen just about every worst-case scenario come together here, and with the acceleration of the cyclone overnight, it is likely to hit earlier, which means coinciding with the high tide, and with a Category 5 now, likely much stronger storm surge and wave action. It's important, words like surge are there for a reason. This is not slow-moving, rising water. This is, very fast-moving, powerful, dangerous water, and that's why we want people to get out of those areas as much as they can. And I have to say thank you to everyone who did that yesterday. We have seen a massive movement of people, and they've done what they were asked to do. But if you haven't done that yet, you have a very small window, and that window is closing, and you need to just grab yourself and your family and get to safer, higher ground.
Okay, so anybody that can't leave or won't leave, what else can they do as far as home preparations, having supplies, things like you've said, making sure they've got food, they've got water, tape all the windows?
That's right. The other advice that emergency workers give people is that the safest room in the house is always the smallest room in the house. So the toilet, the bathroom, that is where you and your family should congregate when these winds really start to escalate. It's an event that you can do basic preparations for, but just bunkering down, taping windows, getting all of the things out of your yard that could become a missile in these sorts of high wind events. I do know that people today, I think, listening to this news this morning, will be very worried for themselves, they're very frightened for their families. I just say to them that this region of Queensland has had cyclones before. Many of you have been through cyclones before. The best thing to do is to stay as calm as possible so that you can keep making good decisions.
Absolutely, really good advice, and there is a lot of information out there to help, so we're going to share some of that now. Premier Anna Bligh, thank you very much for your time. Just to say that we're with Queensland in all of this, I know is a complete understatement. It's just, it defies belief what the state has been through in recent times already this year, and the recovery is going to be enormous.
Yes. We thought we had been tested to the limits of our ability, but it seems that our biggest test is still ahead of us. And I think people will be feeling that they're very alone in this. I do want to reassure them that the emergency services, extra police, we have as many additional personnel all ready to help them the minute this event is over, and they will not be alone.
Okay, all right. Premier Anna Bligh, thank you very much for your time this morning.
Well, it's been a fascinating half hour, I must admit. This last 30 minutes, I've learned a lot about how big this thing is. And I think anybody in this region who is in two minds about whether to stay or go, I think the last half hour may have made up your mind. Err on the side of caution, because by the sound of it, you have never seen anything like this ever before.